A report from the Department of Investigation sheds some light on why it costs so much to house asylum seekers and the homeless.
It found nepotism, a lack of competitive bidding, and some exorbitant executive salaries. Political reporter Marcia Kramer has been covering this issue for years, and she joins us now with this report. Marcia.
Christina, Maurice, Mayor Adams makes $258,000 a year to run the largest city in the nation. But believe it or not, his salary is peanuts compared to what some operators of homeless shelters make, and that's just one of the reasons the city isn't getting the best bang for the buck at some of the shelters it operates.
Those are certainly eye-popping numbers, far
Tell me
above,
the eye-popping numbers.
800,000, almost $1 million.
Yes, that's right. City investigators looking into the financial practices at 51 shelters found that at some of them, executives are raking in the dough for taking care of asylum seekers and the homeless. According to the report, the chief executive of a provider called CORE received more than $1 million in 1 year. The president and chief executive officer of Vacation Network Housing got over $916,000 in 2021, and the president and CEO of shelter provider Kamba received over $700,000 during multiple years.
I think the problem here is that although the city requires that any executive compensation be reasonable, there's no other limitation or restriction, and reasonableness is a pretty expansive concept.
The report, part 2 of a probe that began in 2021 when Bill de Blasio was mayor, also found a number of other troubling practices that affected the bottom line, like nepotism, hiring relatives, immediate family members, and the children of shelter executives, conflicts of interest, like a shelter executive who also was employed by a security company hired by the shelter, and failure to follow competitive bidding practices. DOI found multiple examples where shelter operators awarded multi-million-dollar maintenance contracts to companies affiliated with the building's landlords. Since city budget officials expect to spend over $10 billion on sheltering the unhoused over the next 3 years, DOI officials say the reforms they recommend could add up to big cost savings.
That is certainly the hope, right? These are all reforms that are intended to significantly reduce the risk of corruption, fraud, and waste.
Now, a spokesperson for the Department of Social Services tells CBS News New York that the agency takes, and I quote, every instance of noncompliance very seriously, and it has stopped doing business with some of the providers investigated by DOI. Maurice, Christine?
All right, Marcia, thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.